a world where nostalgia rages across the land, where everyone and their mother has a podcast, where there's still a movie trailer guy who says, in a world. Three friends revisit films, shows, and games that molded them as they search for answers to life, the universe, and everything in between. Settle in and join us for Screen Refresh.
Welcome, listeners, back to Screen Refresh, a show where we revisit the films, shows, and games that molded us as we searched for answers to life, the universe, and everything in between. I'm your host, Dean. I'm joined by the most of the rest of the Screen Refresh crew, Tim and Nick.
Dead or alive, you're podcasting with me.
You down with OCP? Yeah, you know me.
We are missing David tonight for mysterious unknown reasons. Next episode, we'll get to the bottom of why he's not here.
Extradition.
Ice showed up at his door.
This is why you need to record with a VPN if you want to download things that you don't own.
We finally caught up with him. He's been on Juarez. Is it Juarez or Wares?
I think
How
Wares.
did you pronounce that?
I always said Wares.
I always said Wares.
Juarez sounds cooler. They spelled it with a Z.
I thought it was just radical.
Radical.
That was an old pirating site. If you're not on our generation. Tonight we have come together to talk about 1987's RoboCop, which is about an alien ship that passes by Earth and just dumps its trash, and it includes a robot. And a robot lands on Earth, and the first thing it sees is Dirty Harry, and it inspires him to enlist in the Detroit Metropolitan Police Force and become the first robotic cop.
I thought it was a guy dies on the first day of his new job, and it gets worse.
I like how you're insinuating that Detroit never has had police until 1987. That's why it's just an absolute mess, and they're still rushing to catch up to this day.
I have a dirty secret about this movie.
He's never
This
seen
is the
it.
first time you're seeing it.
I've never seen it.
I just always heard about RoboCop. Figured I'd pick it out of the blue.
Yeah, it just popped into my mind. As
Is
like
it really?
something that, yeah, it typically would be on the show, and I mean, this is a typical movie I think that would be picked for our show, and I was like, I haven't seen it,
Dean, we're going to get
and it's
crucified.
so. Who's
People are
going to
show up on
crucify me?
All the RoboCop fans.
This isn't like a childhood favorite for you?
No, but
Oh.
I figured it is for some other people, so
That's why we're going to get
I just
crucified.
I wanted to watch it. I was like, I haven't seen it. This is a great excuse.
I haven't seen it in probably about 24 years until today.
Really? Wow.
I only watched it for the first time, like not even a year ago.
Okay, so
Damn.
welcome to RoboCop, where most of us are new to this, and some of us are...
My nostalgia stems from other people's apparent nostalgia.
Oh, do you mean our RoboCop movie, or whatever it was called? Where all the different filmmakers made renditions of scenes from RoboCop?
Now I can finally watch that movie and probably understand it.
Wait a second.
I guess it's a one-to-one remake.
So wait a second. So that means when you showed us the clip from that other one of RoboCop shooting all of the guys in the genitals that goes on for like 17 minutes, you only did it with with no context of what the actual movie was?
I had to look up the scene to understand that scene, but that's all I saw. I think I saw the scene, in my life of ED-209 shooting up the guy.
Oh, yeah.
As well.
And I'd buy that for $1. And
yeah, I mean, that's been a gif that I've seen thrown around for a long time.
I'll buy that for $1.
Yeah, this is my first experience with it. I mean, spoiler, I really enjoyed it. Like, I think it holds up. Like, for an 87 movie?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Like, obviously, there's stop motion. The effects are are okay, but as a movie, I'm like, oh yeah, it holds your attention. It's a great just action sci-fi movie. Like
We
it's pretty
talked
good.
about it during Jurassic Park on how they were going to do all the dinosaurs in stop motion, and then CGI breakthrough, and they switched to CGI, and it looks amazing. Yada yada. You could watch our last episode where we talk about it in greater detail, but the stop motion in this really did work. Some of the scenes I felt it didn't.
Well,
but
I mean,
later on,
it was Phil
when they
Tippett
had like
again.
that commercial, I know, but I mean, he did have more time. So I mean, I'm just wondering, with a 5-year difference, I wonder how much better Jurassic Park would have been if with stop motion, if they did go to that route. Thankfully, they didn't, so it wasn't too big of a big difference. But when they did that cutaway, because it's Paul Verhoeven, and he does a lot of satire, and he's got a lot of commercials in it. And one of the commercials was, had a T-Rex walking through the street and people are screaming. That looked really good.
Did it?
For what it was. I mean, you're just saying on how good it looked. I mean, I
Pause.
thought that one was good. 89 was...
did I say it
82
looked good? I just thought it was like I meant despite the effects, like it holds up as a movie. Like the effects itself, the stop motion is a little,
I mean,
dated, but
and then
it's
aside
fine.
from the stop motion, the rest of the effects were Rob Bottin, which you got good work going on there. Because I mean, that's
Yeah, the suit is. Wait, what was his title on it?
I think
Special effects, or
yeah, he was handled visual effects or the special effects work. So like the
okay,
makeup effects, I'm guessing on Emil during the mutant scene from the toxic waste, and
oh yeah, he looked pretty
with
good.
the helmet
Pretty
off
terrible.
on Peter Weller.
That was so like out of left field.
Yeah.
That all looked good.
I almost wanted to be like, and here we are. We have Lloyd Kaufman like furiously writing notes like, no, Toxic Avenger came out 3 years before this.
It did seem such an odd choice.
Yeah.
I think I blinked and I missed it. Like I looked down and all of a sudden I think I saw him fall into whatever liquid that was, and then I was like, wait, what? He's melting?
Am I still watching the same movie? This is RoboCop, right?
In my head, I remember him melting, but looking at him, then when he's running to Ray Wise and he's like, help me. And it's just like, no, he's mutated now. It's not just like, oh, part of him melted. It's like, no, all his body's all weird now and whatnot. And then he turns into just sheer liquid when Boddicker hits him with the car.
Straight out of Alex Winters' Freaked movie.
Yes. Coming to a re-release in theaters.
Hell yeah.
See Freaked.
Wink, wink. So this movie, as Nick mentioned, is by Paul Verhoeven. Knowing later that he made Starship Troopers, which is just filled to the brim with even more satire, I'm like, oh yeah, all these commercials that are just wink, wink, and the news stories of these terrible world events, but the anchors are just delivering it just like it's any other day.
Yeah, because I know in the beginning they talk, so the fake news segments or whatever, and they talk about, the Star Wars defense system that we're going to be using in the satellites. And then later they're like, there was a problem with the defense satellites, and it shows it just shooting like a laser at Earth, and it's 113 deaths, including 2 former presidents. And it's like, so was this ever a defense
Santa
satellite,
Barbara.
or is this just like a space
2
sniper
former
thing?
presidents of the opposing political party.
Yeah. Or the board game Nukem.
I like that. I'd play it.
That was really satirical.
We're withdrawing
pretty
all
good.
federal aid to you.
The writers Edward Neumeier and Michael Miner. I didn't look them up.
So,
Anyone care to expound on them?
yeah, Neumeier and Miner did a lot of future work with Verhoeven. So, Neumeier did Starship Troopers, and the remainder of Starship Troopers, the rest of the direct-to-video, evidently. But also is listed as writing RoboCop 2014, which I would have expected it to be listed as a characters by, but it lists as written by. So, I don't know.
Maybe it's because maybe it might be the case with any kind of reboot that's telling the same story, maybe. But maybe not. I don't know. I'm just guessing. What were you going to say, Nick?
There was a really good video essay, and that was like behind the scenes on the 2014 version. And just long story short, it's a hot mess. I wanted to rewatch it for this, but just timing. And I also didn't want to rewatch it because that is not the movie we're covering. The 2014 version is completely separate. But a lot of like the leads were misled on what they were promised, and the end result wasn't what they signed up for. A lot of the actors just simply weren't happy with it because they really did try to make it more like the original one. And they probably did bring that writer in to write out that movie. But so many rewrites and so many different changes were done to that script that I believe he probably did write it, and it wasn't just like a characters by sort of thing.
Yeah, because I mean, it's not even really a straight remake, because seeing that more recently than seeing the original, and then I go back to the original and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. The family, after he dies, the family leaves and we don't see them the rest of the movie. It's not like, oh, he reconnects with his wife or whatever the case is, where that's like a major plot point to the remake of, oh, they're still throughout the rest of the movie and it's him trying to maintain his relationship with his family and like maintain his humanity and his ties to his kid. But this, it's just, no, he's dead. And then like 15 minutes in, it's just he has one memory sequence remembering them. And then they're out of the picture the rest of the time. Like his only human contact is just Lewis.
How many RoboCops did they make?
I think there were 4
3.
RoboCops, if I recall. 3?
Was there a fourth one?
3 in the
There was
remake.
just 3. Unless, like,
That one
yeah,
doesn't
unless
count.
there was.
RoboCop 4, The Quest for Peace.
The Quest for Creep. So, RoboCop himself, played by Weller, our very own Buck Rogers. I didn't really know much of Peter Weller's acting history outside of that and being RoboCop. Were those? Is that safe to say those were his 2 or 3 big? Oh no! You know what? I remember looking earlier. Like I'm surprised he voiced Batman in one of the DC cartoon.
Yeah, I think he
movies.
was doing, he might have done Dark Knight Returns.
Yes, part 1 and 2.
Also, if you've never seen Leviathan, you should see Leviathan.
Oh yeah, Leviathan. That's right. I looked up the monster because I just wanted to see what it looked like.
It's kind
It
of
looked
like,
like it had
what
the
if the
head
thing
of,
took place underwater
Okay.
with like Daniel Stern and Ernie Hudson and
What's the fish with the light that hangs in front of its face?
Oh, like
it
the
looks
anglerfish?
It kind of looks like that. Yeah, the head of an anglerfish and then the body of the Predator. Or maybe the original Jean-Claude Van Damme Predator model. He was in a TV version of the Poseidon Adventure. How about that? I mean, he's done a lot of work.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Peter Weller has been in a ton of things over the years.
Was he the RoboCop in the show?
No, in the TV show, it was, I want to say like Richard Eden.
Okay.
Peter Weller, of course, RoboCop. His partner, Lieutenant Lewis, I think it's Lieutenant, played by Nancy Allen.
Congratulations on your promotion
Ooh.
or demotion, depending on if Dean's wrong.
Let's just say she's a lieutenant. Why not?
She plays Lewis.
I mean, it was an exciting day together they had, for sure. They only had one day together before Murphy was brutally shot down.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just the Tuesday for the Detroit Police Department, but
I also forget that this is his first day.
Well, first day in this precinct.
In this precinct, but yeah, like you show up new to the precinct, you get your partner. They end up having the sequence of like, they head to the car and it's, I'll drive. I like to drive to break in my partner. And they go and they get like coffee or something and then chat for a minute. And then it's like, oh, we get the call. You can drive now. And you're like, oh, now they're friends. It's been an hour. And then he gets murdered.
So
really
apparently,
brutally.
During the test screening for this scene, where they, torture and finally murder Murphy, the sequence had to be heavily edited so many times to avoid the X rating over the objections of the director, and even though he had agreed to deliver an R rating movie. And even in the theatrical version, it's clear that Boddicker has blown apart his Murphy's right hand with that shotgun, and then Emil then blows off his right arm at the shoulder with another shotgun blast. But the gore is limited in those instances. But there's also an extension of like 2 seconds where You see Boddicker blow Murphy's brains out with the handgun. That had to be taken out. And then another scene that also had to be trimmed was that brutal boardroom scene where, ED-209 kills that executive.
Which I like how it just lights up that executive. We end up having ED-209, which, again, like we mentioned, Phil Tippett with the stop motion work on it. But they give the demonstration of hold the gun against him and see like how it normally works. And then he gives 20 seconds to comply. And it's like, drop the gun. And he drops the gun. And then it's still like 15 seconds to comply. Oh, no. But it gets lit up.
It's such a good scene.
He gets like red misted. And then Bob just ends up being like, somebody get a paramedic. I don't know, man.
Yeah. That was my reaction, too. They're like, everybody's standing around shocked.
It's like they call a medevac for Jesse Ventura and Predator. And it's like, no. You need all that circle part in your chest.
all of it. But it's funny to me how society has progressed and gotten so desensitized over the years that a dozen people walked out for that test screening where they had all that extra bit in the shot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like a dozen people walked out for the test screening for it because they felt it was too graphic. And then meanwhile, it's like, we're including it in the director's cut. And in other movies, it's like, if it's not rated R and it's not this gory, count me out. I don't want to watch it.
Well, also, I feel like nowadays, the level of gore of just like somebody getting shot up a bunch of times, you'll see on like an episode of Law and Order or like some other primetime, like ABC, CBS, NBC cop show that doesn't seem that wild. Maybe not the Murphy RoboCop situation, but definitely the guy in the boardroom. Like, yeah, that's not as outrageous now. Although they shouted for the paramedic, and I find that ridiculous. But then later, after what happens to Murphy, and he still has like brain activity that they try to revive him, I'm like, okay, maybe the other guy could have been saved by a paramedic.
I bet ED-209 looks like it has like 50 caliber rounds on him, and the guy got shredded. So it's like, I think after the first two shots, he was done for. Yeah.
Yeah, but what we didn't say is that guy slept at a Holiday Inn last night and he was shredded. So he had two things going for him.
The surgeon also stayed at the Holiday Inn. I watched this on HBO Max, and it had the choice for the director's cut. So I was like, and I looked up what the differences were, and Nick pretty much just pointed them all out. It's just extra shots during some of the scenes.
Literally,
there wasn't like whole scenes put back in.
Tim and
I just watched the director's cut.
Yeah, Tim and I watched it earlier, and I streamed it on our server to watch at the same time if anybody else wanted to watch it with us. And I had no idea which version I had. So if that was the difference, then we clearly had the director's cut.
Yeah, if you saw Murphy's head getting shot, his hand getting blown off, like that's the director's cut for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which
pretty violent.
Boddicker's crew, when they... So actually, going back a step, so when they're chasing Boddicker's crew and Murphy leans out the police car with two pistols and he's firing, I don't know if that's proper police procedure, but it's cool. But the thing that was weird is when he gets the drop in the steel mill in the factory, like Lewis gets taken out because she doesn't call for backup. She ends up getting like knocked out or whatever. And then Murph gets caught. But then we find out the entire Boddicker crew carries shotguns. Because looking at the firing line, I'm like, wait a second, is this just 6 guys with shotguns?
I mean, when they were on the van in the police pursuit, and that's why when you said he was leaning out the car with 2 pistols, it's not like they were way behind them. They were right next to the car. He's outside the car. They're point blank with shotguns. I'm like, holy shit, that's a death wish. So they did all have, or there were several shotguns at least in that scene shooting at the car.
Maybe they got them in,
I guess I wasn't
bulk.
surprised. Yeah, maybe. Speaking of Boddicker's crew, Boddicker played by Red Foreman himself,
Kurtwood
Smith, who I think that 70s show was my first introduction to him as an actor. So everything was
he played
now
Red.
Yep.
Measured up to that.
All
yes.
the pieces are coming together.
Yeah, that's why I made the joke earlier if he was going to break his foot off in Alex Murphy's ass.
Oh, I didn't get that. I thought you were
I
just
saw
really
him-
into the movie at that point.
I think the next time I saw Kurtwood was when I saw Dead Poets Society.
Yep.
He has a role in that.
He plays the schmuck father.
I know, looking at his IMDb, he's been a character. He's been working for a long time, and that, and every other thing. But I haven't seen him in much.
I mean, I think this entire
outside of
cast is
these.
just like a who's who of like, oh, that guy. Like people
Yes.
that really appreciate them will know their name. Like Miguel Ferrer, like he shows up as Morton in this, or we have like Ray Wise as Leon, who's one of the henchmen who like was in Twin Peaks and all this other stuff.
Yeah, Twin Peaks. It's the biggest thing I recognize him from. Miguel Ferrer, I couldn't put my finger on what
Blank
it was
Check.
that like, oh yeah, mate. I don't think it's Blank Check. It's something else. I have to go through his IMDb on my own time and just like, what is the Miguel Ferrer
let's do it now.
role that I'm remembering? All right, open it up.
Okay, here, I'm going to name off all of his things sequentially, and you'll just stop me when one of these sounds familiar.
I want to narrow it down to anything from 1990 to 2000. We can stay at least in there. The head of OCP, OCP, the military private contractor company in the building that makes RoboCop and ED-209. The second in command, I'll say the first in command is Colonel Cochran himself, Dan O'Herlihy. It sounds Irish, so we'll say O'Herlihy. But correct me if I'm probably wrong. I don't know him as anything else other than Conal in Halloween 3.
Yeah.
But he has an extensive IMDb. His second in command, played by Ronnie Cox, who I would have seen first in Deliverance. And I didn't realize Deliverance came out in 1972.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an old movie.
He plays the famous dueling banjo. Well, he plays the guitar, but he plays with the kid who's playing with the banjo in that movie. I think he's the first to die. I could be wrong.
Only seen it once. I don't foresee that to ever be on a screen refresh episode.
No, probably not.
Also, you might remember Miguel Ferrer from Hot Shots Part 2.
Oh yeah, you know what? That's it. Isn't he like a PO? He's a POW that they're going to rescue, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's like either one of the crew going in or one of the crew that gets rescued coming out.
I honestly think you cracked it. I think that's my Miguel Ferrer memory.
Roche.
He's the one.
We cracked it.
I think that's it. I gotta watch that movie again. The rest of his crew
are part of it.
Didn't mention Ray Wise, Leon. Felton Perry plays John. No, wait, no, that's not the right guy. Jesse D. Goins plays Joe. And Paul McCrane plays Emil, who I remember him on ER.
Yeah.
Then the rest of the cast, I don't know if anybody else stuck out to you in the rest of the cast.
I mean, like a couple faces here and there. The main thing that I do just want to mention for you guys in terms of movie appreciation, Nancy Allen, who plays Lewis. If you've never seen the movie Blowout with John Travolta, or if you've never seen Dress to Kill, those are worth checking out. I think Blowout is one of the best movies from that decade.
My next movie choice is Blowout.
Oh, perfect.
Coincidentally. I didn't expect... Like, this movie looks like most other movies of the time period, but I do think some of the cinematography stood out to me. I was like pleasantly surprised at some of the camera moves and choices. There were a lot of diopter shots, split diopter, which is if
Very
you don't know, if
De
either of you don't know what that is. Oh yeah, it's when the foreground and the background are both in focus via a split filter in front of the lens that refocuses whatever's closer. But there's like probably 10 or so shots where they use that effect. But then there's just like these camera moves like dollies and steady cams that I just I don't know. It didn't call attention to itself, but I guess I wasn't expecting it.
Like, it's surprisingly
in
competent.
this kind of movie.
But I think it goes along with the fact that it's this kind of like action movie of him becoming a robot and all this stuff, but also it's But it's really just a like biting satire on like American military complex and corporate greed and all of this other stuff. So I think it goes along with that. Verhoeven is very surprising with this, much like
Yeah.
the cinematography work. I love the sequence of when he's first waking up as RoboCop, and you're seeing through his eyes, and then he keeps seeing,
Yeah.
like flashing over to. All of a sudden, he's like watching TV with his kid, and his kid's like watching something with the was it like laser something, spinning the gun and whatnot.
JD Laser.
Yeah.
TJ Laser, yeah.
And then it cuts back, and then at one point it's the wife and son waving to him, but it's the POV of all of a sudden like leaving quickly, zooming backwards. I thought that was disorienting and kind of went with the whole him waking up and being in both halves of RoboCop and Murphy still.
Yeah, I want to say it felt like ahead of its time somewhat. Like I don't know, yeah, like some of the choices and shots and editing I just wasn't expecting from a movie from this time period. And not, I don't know, I guess maybe I just haven't seen enough stuff, but from a variety of movies from the time period, but yeah, it just stood out as really well done. And leading into that RoboCop POV sequence when he was getting they were trying to save his life, and it was just like they're close up on his eyes and these like extreme wide angles of the doctors and everything, and it just was it was cool.
Yeah.
Great job, Jost Vacano. He's German. Jost, so I thought it's probably Jost.
So
he shot
Paul
Starship
Verhoeven-
Troopers and Total Recall and Das Boot.
That actually makes a lot of sense of them working together and Edward Neumeier writing Starship Troopers. So it seemed to be a little crew sticking together through
Yeah.
a couple of these.
To make some solid movies.
But they all didn't work together on Showgirls, evidently.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Paul Verhoeven did
Paul
Showgirls. I didn't
Verhoeven.
realize that. I didn't
RoboCop,
realize that. I've
Total
never
Recall,
seen Showgirls.
Basic Instinct, Starship Troopers, Showgirls. Which is
It makes
another
me
one
want
that
to
I
watch
think,
it now.
Yeah, I think it's another one that's like a bit satirical. It's purposely camp that it ends up not being appreciated, but I don't know if it's just because it's not understood or because it just didn't execute its goal well enough. Whereas like Starship Troopers and RoboCop like hit it on the mark of, oh, this is very clearly a satire on what's going on with all this.
Well, they kind of hit it over the face with you with in Starship Troopers and
Oh, yeah.
in this. Which actually, that was one point I did want to bring up. Do you think RoboCop only works as a heavy satire compared to like the 2014 version, which they left the satire at the door?
I don't know if it lives and dies on the satire aspect, because I feel like those moments are part of like the world. I don't know. It's good. It's funny to say that. It's like it's part of like the world building, but then I feel like it cuts away back to like this more of a human story of him with his, missing his family and revenge and everything.
Like, I think it becomes a more basic story, but I don't think it ruins the movie. I think it would still be something that gets watched. Because at the end of the day, like, it's still a decent 80s sci-fi action film. It's just adding in all the rest of it really amps it up beyond what was coming out around that time.
Yeah, I think it gives you stuff to think about. But Tim, if you could tell us the success of this movie, but I imagine the draw was like, oh shit, a robot cop just shooting people. That was what got people to the theater.
I think budget was 13.7 mil. It brought in 53.4. So
Nice job, RoboCop.
It did pretty well. I mean, unless you're counting Hollywood accounting, in which case it lost a lot of money.
Just like Titanic.
We are underwater on RoboCop.
Apparently,
Pun intended for Titanic.
$1 million of that.
Wow.
The suit did? I mean, the suit looked awesome.
Supposedly, it was anywhere between 500 to 1 million. So it like 500,000 to 1 million.
Oh,
so
it probably including like the robotic like sidearm like action and things like that.
Possibly. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's funny how that was one of the suit itself was the most expensive item on set, and at the same time, Peter Weller lost 3 pounds a day from water loss because it was just so damn hot and heavy, and they eventually
Yeah.
had to put in an air conditioner into the suit, which reminds me of like that bit with Alien, where the actors were literally dying inside of the spacesuits until they came to like the miniature shots where they had the kids in the suits to make it look like it was so much bigger for the set. And then when the kids started dying in the suits, that's when they realized like, oh, maybe we should, add ventilators or, oxygen into these suits so the actors can actually breathe. It always makes me wonder how like they always think of like, this is going to look so amazing when he's wearing it. Did we take any kind of accountability on the comfort within the suit? No, not. He's supposed to be comfortable.
Meanwhile, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were working at 190 degrees a day, holding their breaths for 8 hours at a time.
I was going to say that's probably the number one reason we'll never see that again, unfortunately. But I don't know. You find somebody, I don't know, just find some desperate stuntman in those turtle suits.
Yeah, just go trawl through desperate areas of out-of-work stuntmen. Dean, you might be part of the problem in Hollywood. Hey, kid, you want to be in a picture?
Nobody died on the set of Ninja Turtles, so it's fine.
But I just like all of the stuff of
fine.
like, man, they were so warm in Aliens, and Peter Weller was so warm in this. It's like, yeah, let's see him do a 3 backhand spring wearing that outfit.
Speaking of the suit, yeah, really well done. I love like the I don't know what, like it was painted like it was trying to give it this really metallic, chromy, chemical. I don't know. There's like purples and like shiny elements in there, like in the shadows of the suit. It's probably made out of I don't want to say rubber. What is it? Latex. But like it didn't look like that. It looked legit. It was a great looking. They did good work.
Apparently in the
that.
show, they had to do like alternate colors for the suit because it didn't look right on camera, so it had like a green tint to it in person. But on camera, obviously, it looked fine.
Right. Trickery.
So, July 17th, 1987. I know we keep talking about it happening in the late 80s, but I don't know if we mentioned the time period for it. Opened same month as Inner Space that we already covered. So, you've picked 2 July 1987 films, Dean.
That's not a bad way to like look for movies, honestly. Like, oh, let me just pick a random month and year and just like start looking.
I mean, the number of times we look at a month to talk about an episode and it's like, oh, and this came out with, oh my God, this came out with like this was released the same weekend as Jaws the Revenge. And then the same month was Adventures in Babysitting, Inner Space, Blood Diner, Summer School, Superman 4, The Lost Boys, and Ghoulies 2.
Ghoulies!
But not Ghoulies 3.
Ghoulies is another one I'll choose. And I've never seen it. I will just make you guys watch it.
I've seen it before.
Skip, hard skip. Don't bother.
I like how we're going to be revisiting nostalgia that Dean only has through other people. The internet seems to really feel nostalgic for this one.
And I've asked Dean like 3 times, have you played the RoboCop game that came out like a couple years back? And he's like, no. I'm like, oh.
I meant to bring that up.
Now it makes sense.
Yeah, now it makes a lot of sense.
Did you play it?
Yeah. I got halfway through.
Is it good?
I moved. Yeah, I actually if you really like the movie, it's going to be even better playing the game because it brings in a lot of the original cast. You relive, well, not relive, but it's you get to revisit a lot of the scenes from the first, like the gas station where the guy holds up the kid behind the glass. He's like, "Oh, college boy," and the whole explosion thing that happens there. You can revisit there. You can revisit the same site where Murphy died and got shot up by the gang. The voice acting is really cool. It's for it being, I mean, it's not the best video game I've ever played, but for it being like a love letter to RoboCop, they did a really good job with it. And it did get pretty good. It did get really good reviews too. It's called RoboCop Liberty City, I think.
Grand Theft Auto matchup. Is it one of those, it encompasses the first movie, but then like extends and like does like something like before the second movie, or is it just like a first movie game version?
I don't know where it takes place in between because you were already RoboCop at that point. It's called
Okay.
Rogue City. I'm sorry, Rogue City, and it got a
Oh,
9 out of
gotcha.
10 on Steam.
Damn. It's on
96%
PC. Sweet.
like this video game.
I'd rather play it on PC. Is it a first person shooter or
Yes.
okay. Um
Yeah, Lewis is in it. The sergeant, the captain from the police station, he's in it. It's almost like it takes place right after. I've never seen 2 or 3 or really any of the other RoboCops. I'm sorry, RoboCop fans, but at least for this game, if you watch the first movie and then play this, it kind of picks right up off of that at least.
Plus, Peter Weller was only, I think, in the second one, and then they replaced him for the third. So I don't think there's probably a ton of RoboCop 3 diehards. If there are, message us.
Oh, apparently this is set between the second and third movie.
Okay. So it must flashback or just maybe like the what do you call them, like tutorial levels are from the first movie or first 2 movies maybe.
The tutorial is him still as Murphy walking up on those other 2 guys, shoots one of them, holds the other. Wow, this tutorial's rough.
And the crotch shooting scene.
Well, every time you shoot a guy in the dick, he does the same kind of like death animation as that guy in the movie. They did put it in there. There's a ton of Easter eggs in this. It's totally worth playing.
I remember playing the demo during Next Fest on Steam and specifically only doing that the entire demo. And
Your move.
Your move, creep. The entire time I'm like, somewhere Dean's looking down at us for this one.
So Kurtwood Smith, I feel like he shouldn't work as he should not work as like what he's playing.
Kurtwood Smith, he shouldn't work. Stop casting him.
Stop it. He shouldn't work as Clarence Boddicker in this movie, but when you look at him, you're like, he's this like fearful like crime boss of what they call old Detroit.
Well,
I think it's I think it's his stature and his like thin rimmed glasses. He just looks like an accountant.
I mean, I think that's the thing when they talk about like the guy to worry about is not the like buff Marine looking guy. It's the guy that's with them that looks like the accountant. And it's like, but what do you do for this crew that puts you in charge of all the rest of these madmen?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I'm saying, it shouldn't work, but I think playing against that type, I don't know why, but it does work.
Yeah.
I don't know if his, it's revealed later that the second in command at OCP, Dick Jones, has hired him, but I don't know if he was always working for him I don't know if did you guys get that they hinted at like a longer relationship, or it was like out of desperation that he hired him there, like the Joker.
I thought that it was an existing relationship from there.
And I guess in that case, I just didn't know what the aim was. Was it like to create desperation in the police department that they had to hire OCP or something?
I think so, because then when they eventually, I mean, part of the plot of this movie is union busting police unions. Because every time they're like, we should get together and strike, and then the like sergeant walks in and he's just like, hey, none of that.
You're cops. You don't strike.
You don't strike.
You're public servants. You're not a plumber. You don't go on strike.
I mean,
OCP.
it's like they were driving it to the point of like, good. They had some of the cops in the pocket. The rest of it was like, drive it to a strike. And then they have lawlessness. And then the reason they like, now they have to go with ED 209 to be able to buy up all of our stuff and get this out there.
ED 209, is just, it's not a humanoid robot. It's on treads. It looks like a goosed up,
like from something out of Terminator.
Johnny Number 5. It's Johnny Number 5 Johnny Number 5 in the Terminator. Actually, more probably just straight out of Terminator. Didn't they have something like that in the third movie? Or, no, that was the flying,
Yeah.
like the flying ships. that
No,
were
there
doing
was like a
something.
thing on treads, but that's its
Oh
own
yeah, you're right.
thing.
That was probably inspired by ED-209 in a way.
Yeah, ED-209 looked like something out of Mech Warrior. Like it's just the two giant three-toed feet and then just two gun
Oh yeah,
arms.
it's not treads. It does walk. That
Which is why
Speaking
it just
of-
the escape sequence of RoboCop when he's running away from ED-209.
we didn't think about stairs. It just eats shit as it takes one
My
step
question
down
is,
the
they didn't
stairs.
think
It
about
just collapses.
stairs, but like you were showing them off on like the penthouse of a 400-floor building.
The freight elevator,
If
obviously.
the elevator dies,
Brutal.
he lives here now.
Yeah, that was
You would
funny.
think there'd be
the-
weight concerns too on that kind of that
Right?
high up, but
yeah, it's funny when RoboCop is like getting decimated by him, and they go down. He runs down the stairs, and the RoboCop stands, and just looks back up, and like,
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's like he's just like somebody samming the air for a second and then just, okay, I'm going to do, and he just tumbles down the steps.
just collapses.
but on flat ground, watch out now, he's deadly.
But knowing that that's a problem, and that means that every crime in the city would just be like, okay, we're going to rob a bank, and then we'll all meet up on the first floor of this building. Because if we go to the second, we're out of reach.
I think Peter Weller, he's great as Murphy. He's great, but I think he was solely cast because of the way his lips and mouth just look in the RoboCop suit. Because I don't know why, but it's like perfect. He has the perfect mouth for RoboCop.
I think they do the same thing with Batman. I feel they do the same exact thing where they just cut out, like they'll print out a picture of the actor auditioning and they'll cut out everything except like the jawline and the mouth and see how well it fits in it. Because yeah, you're right. I was really surprised looking at, the future RoboCop movies in the show and just seeing him there like, well, he's got the jawline down, but I don't know how he looks if you take the helmet off.
Well, I mean, it feels like the whole thing of when they did Falcon and Winter Soldier and Wyatt Russell had the U.S. agent costume on and they had the helmet, and then people were like, he looks like the dude from Up when he wears that helmet. And then in Thunderbolts, they just like had him not wear the helmet most of the movie. It's like, it's depending on what the helmet is, it kind of really depends on a jawline.
Who from Up?
The old man.
That's okay. I
Wait.
have to go back and look. Show me a comparison shot. That's wild. Like the dude from Up, I'm trying to think, who the fuck wears a helmet in that movie? Like,
Hold, please.
hold please, hold for photo. Let me go to Discord. Now you got to Photoshop his thick ass glasses over that.
Thank you, Nick, for that 1-2 punch. In our Discord, I just posted the helmeted Wyatt Russell version from Falcon and Winter Soldier, just as Nick posted the old man from Up. Corporate wants us to find the difference in these two pictures.
I love how this movie is like, it feels like it's set in 1987. It's one of those movies where it's like present day, but there's this wild leap of technology in one aspect, which is these robots and turning a man into a robot.
Yeah, all the robots, all this other stuff, and then he has the flashback of going to his house, and it's like a tube TV on a rolling cart.
It's a bit Star Wars in that way, but I mean, it's not like it's something you like, oh, that's funny if you think about it. Not like it ruins the movie or takes you out of it, but
Well, I mean, I guess
looking at a retrospective of it, it stands out.
I wonder if that was intentional, though, as far as like more things of like an anachronism of something from the past existing in the future. And it's the whole thing of like Murphy dying and becoming RoboCop. And it's still Murphy in there in this futuristic body.
Yeah. You know what? I happened to see, randomly a scene from the remake, which I was kind of surprised they didn't do here specifically, but in the remake they show what's that actor's name? He's been in a
Joel
decent amount of
Kinnaman?
stuff. Yeah, the doctor who's working on him shows him what is left, and it's just like his face and a lung, I think, is like all that's survived. And obviously it freaks him the hell out. I don't think Murphy ever has that kind of realization about his body and what he is now necessarily, just more so like it's his family, like that he's
true. He never really freaks out about his own situation.
It's funny too, because Vader, on camera you don't see it, but in plenty of the comics and stuff, they do go into Anakin adjusting to being Darth Vader, and just like the new body and everything else with it. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, we haven't seen the sequels or the show, which I'm sure is plenty of room for it to talk about and go into for plot points.
The second movie opens with him being like, "Oh my God, I'm a robot."
Be straight with me, Lewis. Am I a goddamned robot man or something?
After the excitement wore off, I kind of never stopped.
You guys known the whole time?
Lewis, I took my face off.
I mean, because a pistol sidearm comes out of the inside of his thigh, where his thigh would be. So obviously, it's not affecting him. He's not really thinking about it. But I just thought that was an interesting scene. Although I didn't see the whole RoboCop remake, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's fucked up." And interesting that they did include something like that. Yeah,
because I mean, in this, all that's really left is like his face that they use to put over this thing. Because they say, "Oh, we were able to save the right arm or save the left arm," and then that's when Miguel Ferrer was like, "No, if it needs to be all robot, get rid of the arm."
Right. And speaking to that end of the suit, I found myself at points, like when I watch the Ninja Turtles now, like looking for like spots of like, oh, can you see where it's probably like flesh there? And there might have been one time the entire movie where it's like, oh, I think I see black fabric in his underarm where it's like that would be covering like skin or his body. But it's really good. It looks like they did a really good job of covering up anything that looks like it could be flesh or human. And Peter Weller's movements as RoboCop are...
Yep.
Like, you think it'd be like, oh, it's easy to be a robot, but like, I don't know. He sells it pretty well.
Well, it's such a great physical performance of him walking, but like turning his head first and then having his body adjust and then like follow along with it.
I wonder how much of it was how much he brought to the table, like trying to be a robot, and like literally like if he had like some kind of coach or with Paul and like they went over like how you're going to move as RoboCop. I mean, I'm sure
here's
that
your
happened.
Coach. Meet Johnny 5. Would you like to be a pepper too?
Just some break dancer from the 80s who just specializes in the robot. And he's like, we're going to learn this.
Check out these dope-ass moves, creep.
Go! Who's famous now, Ma?
The whole subplot with Miguel Ferrer as Morton. So Morton works for OCP. Dick Jones, played by Ronnie Cox, is like this big shot, number 2 at the company. And Morton's friends, like kind of before the ED 209, they're kind of hyping up like Jones is like, he's going to eat you alive. Like, stay away from him. He's going to turn you into sushi. So there's this whole like Miguel's a young executive and he's gunning for, a chance at like just his own. He's got his own program and he's trying to level up at the company. And when ED 209, side note, ED 209 kills that guy. It's horrific. They're like, get a paramedic, god damn it. But then it's like everything. It's almost like it was more of a nuisance or like just another regular event at the company.
Like an oops.
Yeah, like, oh, the guy's... Because Ronnie Jones goes over to the old man, as he's known, the head of the company, and then just like, I'm very disappointed. Like, while this guy's body's like right there.
We're real bummed.
It's like, it's just a glitch. It's just a glitch, we'll fix it. And even he was like one of Morton's friends, Miguel Ferrer's friends that got shot. It seemed like one of his friends, and they're just cavalier talking to him like, real shame he's gone, huh?
Yeah. Which, I mean, I guess goes along with the whole dark comedy aspect of
Yeah.
sequences in this too.
It's not, it's not, I didn't mean, it's not like, oh, that's weird. It's just like, wow, that company and time period is just, it's like fucked up, the society.
Also, I remember Morton being much worse than he is. And then seeing this, I'm like, but no, Morton actually wasn't in on anything with like Boddicker. He wasn't involved with the stuff with Jones. Like, he was a jerk and he was a bit unscrupulous, but the intent was, oh no, we're going to make RoboCop and RoboCop's going to like clean up crime. But it wasn't like, as part of my plan for world. It's like, no, it's just, that was the plan for him to get like rich and famous and move up the corporate ladder and be able to like do blow with models and stuff like that. It's like, that was his end game. Jones was like,
bitches,
oh, we're
leave.
things I never expected Red Foreman to say.
That's a standout line in the movie, a moment for me. If you haven't seen it, Kurtwood Smith, Red Foreman walks in on Miguel, who's doing coke with some prostitutes, and he just immediately like,
bitches, leave.
And they leave.
Miguel Ferrer gets up and walks out with them, and he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You almost had me.
Yeah, he's just an asshole. Like, they make him out to be, you don't really feel sorry for him the way they set up his character, but it's not like he was like a big antagonist in the movie to RoboCop. No, he wanted RoboCop. He was excited about RoboCop and wanted RoboCop to succeed. So
yeah, and it's not like
he was more of a just
oh, we'll take this out and then we'll take over the drug trade. Or it's like, no, the only drug trade was like coming to him so he can use it in his penthouse. Like, that was his goal.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Jones was the whole thing of like using Boddicker of, oh, if we have all of this big deal, because the whole thing with the main CEO, the company was going to be building all this new renovation for Detroit. And by doing that, it was going to bring so many more jobs and so many more people. And then Jones was telling Boddicker, like, oh, but that means there's going to be a lot of people for a long time living here while the work's being done, which means you're going to have a whole lot of people out there that can buy drugs from somebody who's looking to sell them. So, like, they're the truly evil ones in this situation.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Boddicker is a sociopathic killer, a capitalist sociopathic drug king killer.
Capitalism's always the villain.
Always. I did like that little news story they did about RoboCop. He's like, all the kids are like around him and touching him. Do you have a message for the kids out there?
Stay out of trouble.
Which sounds threatening.
It did. I think that was the point.
I think anything he says is threatening sounding, even though he never did anything wrong. I mean,
like he never had any
wrong.
screw ups of like, oh my God, he accidentally shot. It's like, no, he always did the job perfectly. Like the hostage situation when he goes and the guy that took over took the mayor hostage, and he arrives to save and like blow through the wall to grab the guy. Also, I like how the guy, when they just start having an exchange with the hostage negotiators down there, starts talking about like, yeah, get me a car. I want the 6000 SUX. I want something that goes fast and it's terrible gas mileage. And then they're like, oh, we'll get it for you. And it's like, does it have cruise control? Oh, it'll have cruise control. But then he says,
Lieutenant, don't jerk me off! The people jerk me off, and I kill them! You want to see?
It's like, wait.
Oh, another really funny little moment to me. So RoboCop, Nick brought up the scene where he accosts the guy at the gas station, and that's when he starts having the memory of like, oh shit, this is the guy that I think killed me. And
which he knows because the guy looked at him and said, "We killed you."
But it sets him off on the kind of the rest of his goal in the movie, which is seemingly to just find revenge and retribution for all the guys that brutalized Murphy. But he gets into the police computer. He finds out all of Boddicker's known associates, all the people that were there. Starts going after them, and he goes to pick up Ray Wise's character in the club. Like he's dancing with like in this crowd of people. Ray pulls a gun, RoboCop like bats it out of his hand, and the guy dancing next to him just catches it and just like continues dancing with the gun in his hand.
I just thought it did
It's just a
not break
funny little moment.
anybody's momentum. Just grabs him by the hair, drags him out, and everybody just doesn't miss a beat.
It's kind of like that scene in Mortal Kombat where Sonya Blade starts firing into the crowd, but everybody's and like it's pistol whipping people, and well, they're just going to keep dancing.
I think RoboCop might have been the most sober person in that club.
Yeah, he probably can't get drunk, huh? He does eat. They do say that he eats like essentially what is baby food, to keep
Nutrient
his
paste.
nutrient paste to keep his organic bits moving. But how does he digest it? Where does the waste go? Not talked about.
No
Maybe
waste.
in the novelization.
There's no waste ever.
Gotcha.
What's that line from The Interview? It's like Kim Jong-un doesn't have a butthole because it's just 100% going at all times.
Didn't think that's where it was going.
Ain't
But
got
yeah, it's
time to
probably
poop.
like that. Then RoboCop decimates an entire Italian cocaine warehouse.
Come quietly, or there will be trouble.
Yeah, like the Boddicker trying to muscle out this other guy, Sal, from his coke trade. And then RoboCop busting in with a 5,000 round auto pistol because he's just walking in, pointing at every guy and doing the. And at no point does he ever reload the entire film. I don't understand the technology of his gun.
That's a Delta City police force trade secret.
It fires microscopic pieces of metal at supersonic speeds. That's why
So
he never has to reload.
There's 2,000 rounds in that thing.
Well, I like also how
It hits precise arteries and knows where it's going to bleed out the most.
they have the sequence at the police station when RoboCop is introduced to everybody, and then they're all like at the firing range, and then they see like his gun sticking out, firing and hitting all the marks. But then all the cops lean forward, like into the range to look over, and it's like, guys, like
With my one experience at the range, I was like, you don't do that.
yeah,
No,
it's like
you
maybe
don't do that.
maybe you look behind the lane. Don't look in front of the lane where the guns are. But then like Lewis stops him and tries to be like, hey, who are you? Do you remember me? And it's like, okay, but realistically, Lewis, like, you're a person that he was a partner with for part of one afternoon before he was murdered because you didn't provide backup.
Get back, motherfucker. You don't know me like that.
Trying to forget that part of my life.
I've forgotten coworkers I've worked with for years.
Yeah, his helmet's once he takes his helmet off during the third act, I don't think it goes back on the rest of the movie.
No, it's off the rest of the
I
time.
think he's
You paid for Peter Weller's face, you're getting Peter Weller's face.
that's right. It's the movie's sandwiched with Peter Weller's face. Take that as you will.
I'm sick of masked characters in television now, and then it's like this person never removes their helmet, and then what do? The entire rest of the show, movie, whatever they're in, they take off the helmet. Like, you're this character, leave the freaking helmet on. Like, I'm so glad Carl Urban
I was going to say, that's why Judge Dredd.
was so amazing because he doesn't take the helmet off once.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile, Stallone is like, no, I gotta take off my helmet. Like, why? The character's never known to remove his helmet. What are you doing?
Carl
Yeah,
Urban also
like-
doesn't unfrown the entire movie. He's got a frown which is baked into his face.
He would have been a good Batman.
I would be frowning the whole time too if all I get to eat is like nutrition paste.
Oh no, I'm talking about Carl Urban in Dread.
Oh yeah,
He's got that downturn. He's got
Yeah.
that downturn frown the entire movie.
Also,
Yeah.
Judge Dredd would clean up all of this city in an afternoon.
Yeah, being the executioner.
I wonder
Yeah.
if there's let me see. There's probably a RoboCop and Judge Dredd
There's got to be.
crossover.
I know there was a RoboCop Terminator crossover.
I do want to touch upon Jones tasks Boddicker with cleaning up his mess, essentially. Well, maybe kind of his mess, his company's mess. Killing RoboCop, and he's like, well, I'm going to need to have a lot of firepower. So Jones provides these, I guess you call them rail guns. I don't know what the hell they were firing,
Yeah.
I guess it's almost like a sniper rifle with grenade
It's like an explosive Barrett 50 cal.
Yeah. But it's not just, it's almost like, movie logic, whatever it's pointed at, it explodes, no matter how big or small, it's blowing the shit out of whatever it's firing at.
Well, I like how, for the example, Boddicker meets up with the rest of his crew again, and they're just like all hanging out in the street during Bedlam because the police went on strike. So he shows off the gun and he's like, yeah, check this out. And he blows up his friend's car. But it's like, okay, so this bullet specifically blows up the car, but then also it blows up entire stores, but then also it blows up just the top of a fire hydrant. And it's like, is this like a magic gun that it just senses your will and it shoots at what you want?
But those are some really handy guns. Okay, this is a gripe. It's a minor gripe, but again, it's just like nitpicking. Granted, they're in what is to them a scary situation when they're going toe-to-toe with RoboCop, but they're almost point-blank range, and they can't hit him with those guns. Even though they just perfectly destroyed whatever they meant to in that scene. But he never gets hit with one of those guns, because I think it would have destroyed him.
And he's not that fast, so it's not like he's dodging.
Ha ha, can't catch me.
There's a point where he just walks out in the open, shoots one of them, and then just like slow turns and then just walks away.
I told you, homeboy, you can't touch this.
There's a shot of him, like, I laughed. That scene when he comes out, like, looking for me, and he's like, gets their attention, and then he's walking away, and there's the shot, like, he's like between the between the fence, just like staring at them, and like they can't do anything about it. It's hilarious.
It's the same thing in like Batman, where you obviously have an entire suit that's bulletproof, but your chin is sticking out and it's clearly exposed and unprotected. And there's a line in Blank Man where, the Wayne guy is, he developed this bulletproof pajama outfit that he turned into some Adam West style Batman outfit. And, he becomes a superhero. And then like halfway through the movie, the guys being, the thugs that he's trying to apprehend as his first stint, like, well, his chest is bulletproof. Why not shoot him in the face? And then that's when you see the panic in, I think is Damon Wayans was in it. I forget their names all the time.
That's it.
The moment of panic in his face when he realizes that they're just going to shoot him in the face. Like, why don't you do that with RoboCop? You're unloading every bullet in all of, the greater, technically Delta City area. But why aren't you just shooting him directly in the face the whole time? Like, clearly body shots aren't going to work when you're seeing them ricochet off.
Although from the looks of it, it was just like skin or synthetic skin stretched over the robotic piece. So normally
they don't know that.
Well, yeah, they don't know that. So normally it would be like, yeah, Batman, like shoot him right in the face if that's the case. RoboCop, they're going to shoot him and then it's just going to be like hunks of flesh and robot underneath and it's going to be so much worse.
So I was looking into the toy line for this and it amuses me how movies from our childhood really went for toys, even if it was with a severe R rating, and they still marketed them to kids our age. So like Aliens, RoboCop, Terminator, Toxic Avenger, they all had toy lines, and even as Tim mentioned it, and when we were talking about earlier, like Saturday morning cartoons, they had them. However, meanwhile for us, it's like no, it's okay. They can play toys based on this extremely graphic R-rated movie.
Well, the thing that's wild is it's not even like, oh, years later, they decided to do like a 90s Saturday morning cartoon to get the nostalgia of people who like saw RoboCop and maybe now they're showing it to their kids as a cartoon. This was 1988. This was the following year after RoboCop released, after they had to cut it down from an X rating. And then they're like, it would probably be a great kids cartoon? RoboCop. Which I would only watch if it was cartoon RoboCop, also directed by Paul Verhoeven.
I know they made a Starship Troopers cartoon, but it wasn't a cartoon. It was like CGI.
Oh, was it Roughnecks?
Yeah.
I dug it. I liked it.
it was on a terrible TV network at a bad time.
It was
and I
on the
always wanted to watch
UPN at
it.
like 6 a.m. on
Yeah,
a weekday.
like, never gonna watch this.
I used to watch that, then Beast Wars, then Pokemon, and then I would start getting ready for school.
Yeah, I caught those in the afternoon block, not in the morning.
Oh, that's Toonami time.
Nope. No wonder why I never watched Dragon Ball Z.
I was going to say, kids these days don't know what they're missing, but I maybe don't care because they consume media completely differently today. So it's like,
Which I genuinely
I'm
wonder
meaning, like, there's
how,
no Saturday morning cartoons is over. Like, they don't do that
Yeah,
anymore.
which
I don't know
I-
about the weekdays.
like I think if you want to watch stuff, go ahead, watch stuff. I don't really care about like screen time limits, but like I wonder how that affects attention spans or like developmental patience or things like that, where we had specific timetables of specific things and we watch commercials, and it's like now if a kid sits down and decides, oh, on Netflix, I'm going to bang out 2 seasons of this right now. Unless somebody physically comes in and stops them, they will just watch back to back to back to back to back from the time they're home until it's the time to start dinner.
Someone
Stay out of trouble.
I saw TikTok, saw a parent talking about that, and they were showing them like Little Bear and just other cartoons from our childhood,
Yeah.
and they noticed that the slower pace really changed their moods in a beneficial way versus just like, I want to watch Coco Melon, and then it's just nonstop harassment until you put a marathon of Coco Melon up, whereas we didn't have that.
Coco Melon is persona non grata in this household. I have a 2-year-old daughter. Yeah, we don't do Coco Melon.
Good.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What we like is we'll give her stuff to watch that if we just randomly turn it off, she just like, okay, and does something else. Like,
So nothing that she's actually really enjoying with intent.
Like if I guess it's like if she's fine with just turning away, doing something else, then this is fine
So
programming for you.
You're teaching her that joy is not permanent, that everything is fleeting.
So we only show the Big Bang Theory.
Oh God. You know how awkward that show is when you remove all of the laugh tracks?
It was like it was a necessary jab at the Big Bang Theory. If you like it, fine.
I do like the show. I really had no problem against it, despite the nerdy inflections to it.
My father loves it.
I think it's appropriation of nerd culture.
Where do we get on this Coco Melon?
Toys.
Kids. Oh, kids consuming toys,
Yeah.
marketing to kids. Right.
It had its moments with, I never watched any of the childhood stuff, but I remember having like Terminator toys and RoboCop and never knowing what the hell it was from. But I mean, from a toy perspective, I mean, RoboCop's a hell of a toy. That's hell yeah, sign me up. He go against like Buzz Lightyear. I think that's awesome.
Dead or alive, you're coming with me.
I mean, RoboCop was incorporated into Mortal Kombat 11 eventually. So
That's true. But then again, what wasn't? I could have, what was it, like Michael Myers versus the Predator versus
the TMNT.
Homelander.
Yeah. Versus TMNT and Homelander. At some point, it's just like, guys, remove Mortal Kombat. Just make a fighting game that's IPs.
You're gonna die
See you again real soon.
in hell.
Nondescript rodent mascot.
It's Steamboat Willie specifically, who is now fair game.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's who I was.
Steamboat Willie.
Even though he didn't talk, I don't think.
He whistled.
So the showdown. Yeah, we talked about his one henchman, who later ended up on ER. He really should have gone to the ER after getting melted with acid, but then gets run over by Boddicker and just explodes into guts and bloated pieces.
Well, I like how
Which I thought was a nice touch.
he ends up getting covered, and then he runs to Ray Wise, and Ray Wise looks at him and he just says, "Oh, let me go." For a second, I thought he was going to take 3 steps back and just do boom and just blow him up.
Yeah, I did expect him to be like, put him out of his misery kind of shot, but he was more freaked out. He's like, "Don't touch me."
Yeah, guys, if I ever end up like in a toxic waste accident where I'm turning into a mutant, but not like one of the cool superhero mutants, you can do that. That's fine.
Does Toxic Avenger count? He's not really looks cool, but he's got super strength.
He's
Yeah,
very
very
strong.
articulate. and very articulate.
And a good-hearted person.
You could still do the podcast. No one would know the difference.
It's true. Nobody knows right now.
If anything, you might sound better.
He should just appear at an event now just as the Toxic Avenger. This is what it might look like the whole time. Yeah, the showdown, they have Bodeker's on the run. He crashes into this little flooded quarry part of the steel mill. Shoots Lewis.
Yeah, Lewis, not very good success percentage against this crew. Seems the first time she's like, freeze. And then the guy's like, don't look down. She's like, what? Boom. And then gets knocked out. And then she shows up here and it's like, don't worry, Murph, I'll help. And then she immediately gets shot.
She's trying.
I will say it's the first thing, don't look down. What essentially he's saying, like, I bet you won't look, if you look at my dick, I'm going to push you down this flight of stairs.
Because he was like, can I at least zip?
He was pissing.
And then he's like glancing down and it's like, you can take like 3 steps back and call in for backup. You don't have to stand there like directly in front of them and be like, I don't know. Intrusive thoughts may win. I might look down.
He really seized the opportunity there. He was looking at her eyes, waiting for her to look down, and took advantage.
I don't know. It sounds pretty cool.
But yeah, she's shot.
It'd been great if that's how Boddicker gets her in this one too. She gets out of the cop car at the top of the quarry, and Boddicker's like, "Oh, unzips, don't look down." Fires 3 shots.
I didn't even have to go to the bathroom. I did like how Boddicker was distracting. RoboCop didn't see Leon going towards a crane, so he stalled long enough. And it looked a really well done effect, I guess, of, maybe just hidden with editing, but drops this claw full of metal scrap straight onto Murphy.
He didn't hear any of this crane operating above him, creaking with all this metal.
Well, he had Boddicker in his sights. It was just one-track programming. Like,
Boddicker probably said, don't look up. And then Lewis is like, don't fall for it. Keep your eyes on him. That's how they got me.
Don't look. Don't look. Leon's got his dick out. Don't look at him. Boddicker walks over thinking he won, goes to beat him with a pole, and Murphy fends him off. And we've seen him throughout the movie interact with computers systems with this probe that comes out of his wrist.
A USB knife.
Yeah. So he activates that and shoves it straight into Boddicker's neck, and that's the end of Boddicker.
And then he accesses all of Boddicker's data, and then he realizes he wasn't that bad a man.
The brutal murder.
I suppose murder isn't so bad. You're free to go, Boddicker. Just don't do it again.
Leon chairs up on the thing of like, yeah, got him. And then as soon as Boddicker looks up to him to be like, yeah, Lewis gets to the gun and blows up the building that Leon's in.
Oh, well, we were expecting that to happen. And then Dick Jones finally gets his comeuppance at a board meeting that Murphy crashes, and that it was a cool detail because his 3 directives were serve the public trust, protect the innocent, and uphold the law. But a secret programmed 4th directive revealed later on was to not, or when he tried attempting to arrest or assault or whatever a OCP executive, result in the shutdown of operation. So we found that was revealed later when he was escaping the ED-209. So Jones knows he's caught because Murphy shows the evidence of him confessing to these crimes, and then he takes the old man hostage, and the old man fires him, and that pretty much overrides, lets his computer programming I can kill this guy. He's not an executive anymore. So it shoots him out the window.
And then he turns into a freakish long-armed puppet for about 2 seconds as he falls.
That was one of the
we were watching it today.
Effects.
We were watching it today, and it gets to that point, and I forgot about it, and then it happens, and I did, whoa.
That I think I could safely say was the worst effect in the movie, because it just, his body proportions didn't make sense. I don't know if he was completely computerized or something. If it was a dummy that they put in front of a screen to throw down, you just have to see it. It's kind of hard to explain, but Tim described it perfectly. The arms were like weirdly long. This is just one of those movies. The beginning and end of this movie, when you start the movie, I think it's like MGM, and then it fades up and it's just like RoboCop, like immediately. Like there's no lead up to the title. It's just like, this is RoboCop. They don't beat around the bush.
Which I respect.
There's a lot of movies when they start off and I kind of immediately know, like, I can see why this is as popular as it is, and this was definitely one of them.
What point made you feel that way?
Like immediately.
Oh, okay.
You know, I kind of get the vibe. Like it. Usually, when I watch movies now, I'm real judgmental. I'll admit it. And within the first 5 minutes, I'll instantly know if I'm going to like this or not. And RoboCop, the second it starts, I can tell. Like, yeah, this is definitely going to be a favorite.
Also, I like in the boardroom how excited that one guy gets when Jones gets murdered. The one that was friends with Morton, because then it cuts over to him and he's just like, yeah.
Get him. Got his ass. Got your ass.
Well, and then the CEO guy, then he looks over at Murph and he's like, good shooting, kid. What's your name? And he's like, Murphy. The end. Hard cut to black.
Yep. RoboCop. Again, just like comes right up.
It should have said Murphy, but in the RoboCop font. Then you're like, oh, because now he associates himself to his human side.
Murphy Cop.
Murphy Cop. Robo-Murph.
And that's RoboCop, the movie.
I love it.
I think it's great.
I think it's one that if you haven't seen before at this point, like I know either listeners that have lived through all of this and just have never gotten around to watching RoboCop, or listeners that are young enough where it's like, yeah, I wasn't around for that generation of watching it on TV or search it out on streaming. I think it's definitely a good one to watch. It really does hold up as a good satire and a sci-fi action film.
And it's so much better than the 2014 version. They tried, but they didn't try in the right ways.
Yeah, if you want to see a Joel Kinnaman movie, go watch Altered Carbon instead.
Mm-hmm. And it's like 6 movies in one. This one, it's just stick with RoboCop.
When's the last time you saw 2014 RoboCop? Anybody?
2014.
2014 when it came out.
I'm just curious of like what they did differently, other than like that scene I mentioned. Like, did they explore anything differently, or was it like, let's just take this idea and make it modern?
So from what I remember, in this, where it's mostly Lewis and mostly like Murph, being more introspective of looking for what's going on in this vengeance thing, in that one, his wife and son are still around. Like, they didn't leave town. So their relationship is still with them.
Going back home and, you know, just reconnecting with them, even though he is more machine now than man.
Gotcha. Okay, I was just curious. But yeah, having never seen this movie, yes, it's got its dated aspects to it, like mainly with the effects, but the filmmaking is good. Yeah, it holds your attention. It's just a solid sci-fi action film. Definitely worth your time if you haven't seen it. I'm surprised it took me this long to actually get around and sit down and watch it, but I'm glad I did. I'm going to pretend I have nostalgia for it now. Like, I've loved this movie since I was 8 years old.
Get the RoboCop game on Steam.
Yeah, maybe I will now. I think I've got some leftover Christmas Steam credit. Maybe I'll just do that.
Also, I forgot some of the parts of the 2014 one, so I'm looking it up now. Lewis was changed to Jack Lewis, played by Michael K. Williams, who is a major part of that movie. The CEO is Michael Keaton. The doctor who creates like Dr. Light in this thing is Gary Oldman. But yeah, it's mostly like it really involves his wife and son, to the point where they look for like the happy ending of like, and the family's together again. Or the fact that there is no, like, the fourth directive is subverted because he's no longer an employee. It's just like, but I really want to kill him so hard, I destroy that directive.
All right. Well, thank you, dear listeners, for joining us on this screen refresh of 1987's RoboCop. If you like what you've heard, or even if you don't like what you've heard, but you have a kind heart, please drop a review and a rating and subscribe to us on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts to help us out. Find us on YouTube at the Screen Refresh Network and shoot us an email at screenrefresh@gmail.com or join us on our very own Discord server. We'd love to chat with you there. Catch us next on Rule of Thirds, airing every third Monday of the month, Screen Refresh airing every first Monday of the month, and be sure to check out our sister podcast, Don't Open This Podcast, every second and fourth Monday of the month. So for Tim, Nick, and absentee host David, this is Dean reminding you to stay out of trouble and always follow your 3 prime directives. Have a lovely day.
Holy shit, I'm a goddamned robot.